Okay, so you probably remember all that talk back in 2026 about those bizarre Skyquake and Trumpet sounds, right? Well, the thing is, the story behind them is actually way stranger than the sounds themselves. We're going to break down the anatomy of how this whole viral scare was basically built from the ground up.
It all came down to this one chilling line from a video that just blew up everywhere. It's not the Earth, it's the shield. And the idea was so simple, that's what made it terrifying. Our planet's protective layer, it was failing. And those weird sounds everyone was hearing, that was the proof.
So, what poured gasoline on this fire? It was one single, really alarming number, a supposed 400% jump in these Skyquakes just since the beginning of the year. I mean, when you see a number that big, it feels urgent, it feels real.
All right, so what if this whole global panic wasn't a discovery at all? What if it was a product, something that was carefully engineered piece by piece, specifically to go viral? Let's pull back the curtain and look at the actual blueprint.
So where did the great Ionosphere Breach story actually come from? Well, not a research lab, not a whistleblower. Nope. The source was a content strategy document from this system called AI YouTube Engine 3.0. And its whole purpose, its only goal, was to engineer viral content.
And what's so wild is when you look at its mission, right? The system basically figured out the next big thing for viral stories was to move on from the depths of Antarctica and go all the way up to the edge of our atmosphere. It's a really calculated move, designed to tap right into what we're all anxious about.
So, how did it pull this off? Well, the system spit out this complete blueprint called a total production package. And you can think of it like a kit, you know? It had every single ingredient you'd need to make a story that's super compelling, totally believable, and something you just have to share.
First thing in the package, the titles. And these weren't just catchy, they were all optimized for a high click-through rate, CTR. But the system didn't just come up with one. No, it engineered 5 different versions, and each one was designed to hit a very specific psychological button, everything from curiosity all the way to pure fear. And you can really see the difference in how they work right here. The one on the left, the curiosity title, it kind of pulls you in with a question, a mystery. But the one on the right, the fear title, it pushes you with a threat. It creates a sense of urgency. And the crazy thing is, both are super effective, just for totally different reasons.
Okay, so that's the titles. But a story like this, it's not just about the words. Let's look at the visuals and the audio, because that's how you really build this feeling of a world in danger. And just look at the level of detail here. This is incredible. The system didn't just tell the AI, hey, make a scary sky. It wrote out this super specific, complex prompt to create the perfect apocalyptic thumbnail. It even told it to use an Oppenheimer cinematography style. I mean, wow.
And it wasn't just what you see, it's what you hear. The audio was just as carefully designed. The plan laid out this whole soundscape, right? It starts with this massive Inception-style horn sound to grab you immediately. And then later, it weaves in this high-frequency static that builds and builds, just to create this underlying tension while you're listening.
Okay, but great production value only gets you so far, right? A scare like this needs something more. It has to feel authentic, like you're uncovering some hidden truth. So, how did they do that? This part is absolutely fascinating. To make it all seem credible, the system was told to process actual scientific research papers on the atmosphere. But here's the catch. Look at the instructions. It specifically told the AI to filter out certain theories and to focus only on the data points that could be twisted to fit the story it wanted to tell. And to take it even one step further, it literally scripted a fake deep dive podcast. It made up 2 characters, a cynical host and a terrified younger one, and gave them a script. Their job? To discover that the sounds weren't random at all, they were actually an encoded message. It's a brilliant way to create this feeling that you're in on a secret and to dial up the dread. So, the big question is, why does a strategy like this even work? Why is a completely made-up story so effective in today's world? What's the secret sauce? Well, the key isn't about giving people undeniable proof. That's not the goal. The real genius here, if you want to call it that, is making you, the audience, feel like you can go out and verify the story for yourself. And hey, don't take my word for it. This is from the system's own notes. It says the reason it works, the reason it goes viral, is because it taps into something people are already doing. You know, noticing weird sounds in their town. All the video does is provide a huge, single, terrifying explanation that connects all those random dots.
So that's the recipe. That's the modern playbook. It's not about reporting on a story that's already out there.
It's about building a narrative grid first. Think of it like a big net. And then it just waits for our real, everyday anxieties to get caught inside it.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty unsettling final thought, doesn't it? If a story is engineered from the ground up to feel completely true, how do we know the difference anymore? How do we know when we're getting a fact and when we're just consuming a product?